It's the Friday show, guys. Episode 16. Can you believe it?
Man, awesome. Can't believe it's 16 weeks we've been going at this already. It's fantastic.
I have to say it, sweet 16 and never been kissed.
Yeah, speak for yourself. But it gets better and better for us every week because we're a little bit more confident in it. I hope it gets better and better for the listeners. Not so sure, but I hope so.
At the end of the day, it's got nothing to do with us.
I think it is, guys. We've been getting a lot of great feedback from everyone. Hey,
This week's been awesome from a feedback point of view. Been contacted from guys in Hong Kong and all over the place. The States, the UK, and it's been a really good week for us. And the feedback is sort of what makes all the difference, I think. It also gives us a bit of direction for the Friday show. At least we know what to talk about. This wasn't an easy week for aviation.
no.
What have you picked up, Ryan? Obviously, the stimulus package in the States come to an end, and massive layoffs expected. Massive layoffs have started already, obviously with the big carriers, United and Delta, but not good from that perspective. But maybe the positive angle that we were pushing in America was a little bit sort of one-sided. They had that stimulus package, so it's delayed the inevitable, like you were saying earlier, Brett.
Yeah, the stimulus package was great. It's provided a lot of smoke and mirrors, effectively, for not only the aviation industry, but every industry and households in the States. So this tsunami was always going to hit. You cannot shut the world economy down for 5 months and expect, when it's over, hey, great, everything's back up and running. Never going to happen. So the tidal wave is hitting now. There's a mixture. Ryan, you were talking about some numbers there of retrenchments.
Yeah, I mean, they're expecting in the States from next month between United, American Airlines, and a lot of the other regionals, up to 40,000 job losses. You know, pilots, cabin crew, operational staff, everything. So, it's massive numbers on top of what's already happened.
Those type of numbers, I think that's what we're going to see. But at the same time, it's so interesting. I was reading a consulting report out of Nigeria, Mamaj Aviation Consulting, and the CEO says in that interview, she says she has never been inundated by so many requests from young up-and-coming pilots to start training. The guys are throwing their cash at becoming airline pilots.
Well, that's actually in line with what we're seeing here in South Africa.
Yeah.
The flight schools, the ab initios, it's really busy.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's got a lot to do with the talk of the town is that we're only expecting the numbers to get back to 2019 levels in 2023, 2024. So by the time that most of these young guys that are starting out now are qualified, then there might be jobs available for them. Bearing in mind as well that you're probably going to see that airlines are going to be paying less and less. So they're not used to seeing higher salaries. It's not going to bother them that much.
They just want the position.
They just want to fly.
Yeah.
So let's see where that goes.
Yeah, that 2024, that's IATA's latest feedback that they're giving. It was 2023, they reckon adding a year onto that 2024.
But at the same time, China is now, first week in September, 100% capacity as it was of 2019. So they haven't gained, but they're at full 100% capacity. So, I don't know, different world economies.
Yeah, Donald Trump said he's very positive in supporting the airline sector. He said the margins are small at the best of times, so during a pandemic, you got to support them. IATA have been pushing week on week, trying to lobby with governments to support the airline sector. Often at times we felt maybe that, it's quite obvious that the public, the general public, they are quite unaware of how narrow these margins are in aviation. This is not an industry you go into to make a huge amount of money. It kind of needs to be looked at as a service, which it is. I mean, look at our local carriers. the competition between Safair, Airlink, and the likes, they're operating on minimal margins. They can't. There's not a lot for them to play with. You start adding long haul onto that, and those margins become even thinner. Just some information on, basic things, Ryan, on slot times and slot allocations into Heathrow as an example. Now, obviously, what they've done is they've relaxed all these, prior to the pandemic, if an airline had 20% capacity on a particular flight, they were actually forced to go out and do that flight, because if they don't, they get heavily penalized, or they could even lose their slots into various airports. That's all been relaxed, but airlines are paying up to £1 million for a slot into Heathrow.
Yep.
That's no small investment. Now, the airlines that have made those investments, they're going to expect to be able to get the reward from those investments once things open up again. So you wonder what will happen in terms of slot availability and slot prices into these big airports. All yet to be seen, but like we said, not the best week in terms of aviation news.
From a business model, obviously the airlines have to get the cheapest slots or the best rates on slots coming into an airport. How they're going to do that, I have no idea, but there isn't. We can already see issues starting to arise between countries. I mean, look at Kenya and Tanzania.
Yeah.
Tanzania's just banned 3 Kenyan airlines, another 3 coming in because of their COVID policy as opposed to their COVID policy. I mean, that is just, you've recovered from it. You're recovering from a disease. The last thing you want to do now is start pushing other factors into it and causing trouble. It's crazy.
The internal fights between the different civil aviation authorities. Now's not the time for these little quabbles. I think everyone's got to work together, particularly in Africa.
Exactly.
We really need to come together in Africa. We've been pushing, hey, open the borders, guys.
Come on, if the UAE and Israel can sign a peace agreement and work together, Africa needs to do the same.
I think it goes without saying, it's with everything. Collaboration is the only way people are going to succeed. Whether it's between countries, airlines, charter companies, everything. It's going to require teamwork on every single level to make a success out of this.
We're seeing it in other sectors, collaborations, like you say, working together. Even on a personal note, it's happening. Brett, I mean, the social connections between different companies and different areas, they don't even have to be in the same industry. There's like this cohesive energy that everyone is kind of saying, hey, we got to get this economy running again, and for that to happen effectively through businesses, you've got to work together. And the same goes on a personal level. I think that's why, again, so key. We say it every week, it's like a broken record. You've got to get out there, you've got to get a LinkedIn account, you've got to set it up, and you're going to have to start collaborating and connecting with people, because that is the way of the future. There is no question about it.
Yeah. Look, if anybody out there hasn't realized that now is the time to go back into connecting and networking people with others, you're going to be left dead in the water. I mean, a conversation I had yesterday, and I know it might cause a little bit of chaos stating this, but they represent an airline in Nepal, and they're saying we need 5 Beech 1900 pilots to come over there as soon as borders open for contract work. So that was only found out through a connection, having a discussion, all of that. Suddenly you find that information out. Now's the time to get in touch with everybody you can.
Get in touch with you can, and something like that, be interested in that, get hold of us.
Yeah. To add to that as well, I mean, dealing with what we're going through right now, you're only really as strong as your support group, your support network. I mean, to a large degree, it's kind of why we are doing fairly well at this podcast, is because we're 3 good mates that support each other. We pick each other up when one of us is down. You're only as strong as your support team. And, it sounds a bit weird, but putting it out online adds that level of support. So it works hand in hand.
No, it does. It's critical. It's critical for, us to get through this and to have a strong team around you.
And not to name names, but how many pilots and people in related sectors have approached us, all of us, individually, and said, thanks so much for that. I'm speaking to someone, it's helping me get through this time, and generally guys who are upbeat and they don't need assistance are realizing they need assistance, and that they're verbalizing it.
Exactly.
And just to hear that is just, it's brilliant.
Well, that's been the coolest part about the show.
Yeah.
Because we've had all those connections come to us, and we've worked together, and that's our plan. We want to continue doing that. We're not going to charge anyone. We want people to sit down with us, let's collaborate together, let's make it work. How cool is this? Did you see that news with the Stellenbosch town? They've got this deal with SnapScan. SnapScan, I believe, was a company that originated from Stellenbosch.
Oh, really? Okay.
They got a deal in their restaurants there. Go to a restaurant in Stellenbosch, use SnapScan, you'll get 50% of that bill refunded to you in a voucher format to use at another restaurant in Stellenbosch.
That's
That's
brilliant.
cool.
That
Yeah.
is brilliant.
I talk about
I love
collaboration
that.
between
Exactly.
all the restaurants.
Yeah.
You know, sticking together. It's the only way it's going to work.
Man, that is brilliant. I love that. That could be rolled out everywhere. It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. Look, it's to a maximum of 400 Rand.
That's fine.
But go eat
Yeah.
out, you get 400 Rand voucher that must be used at another restaurant, and off you go.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That is a great initiative.
There's
Really is.
now that's the second one I've heard. I heard an advert on the radio or something. Some organisation, I can't remember who it was, punting, support your small business. I think it was Discovery. It could have been Discovery or Momentum, I don't know. But there was a big thing to say, just support your small business, man. Get out there. If you're going to go and buy something, go and support those guys. And that's the type of thing that we need. We've got to get back to that. It's the only way anybody's going to survive.
Yeah, it is. These little collaborations here and then. I had an awesome interview this week on our midweek bonus episode with Arpad Sakal. We spoke about a lot of the things that we've spoken about week to week, but what was nice for me to sit and do that interview was it kind of gave me the confirmation that we're talking about the right thing. He spoke from a position of authority, so it was nice to actually confirm that we are actually saying the right thing. And we're not saying anything overly complicated. The one thing that he touched on, and it's critical, and maybe we haven't done that, is to say there's a bit of a grieving process that you have to go through. Particularly now I'm talking about airline pilots that have lost their jobs. You got to go through that grieving process before you can actually move forward. As you touched on already, Ryan, you need a strong team around you. What he said, consider having someone around you that's not a close friend, someone that will tell you, hey, you need to pick your socks up, or you need to do this or do that. Someone that ultimately raises your own standards. And then, like we said, with the social side, we mentioned it already, but that's what we would like to assist the guys with. If you need a bit of help on your professional social platform, particularly LinkedIn, your profile page or anything like that, and you want a bit of a boost on that, or an explanation as to how things work, we've said Brett's really good at it. We spent a bit of time with a few people this past week. Give us a shout. We're more than happy to sit with you, work on that, and get you up and running so that you can start collaborating. And it's also a good way, these transferable skills, these soft skills. LinkedIn actually released a nice bit of data the other day. It was put out in an article. I'll leave the link to the article in the show notes. Top 15 skills that are being looked for on LinkedIn right now. Any idea, Brett? Obviously the hard skills, okay, they're relatively obvious. Number 1, blockchain. Number 2, cloud computing, analytical reasoning, artificial intelligence, UX design, business analysis, affiliate marketing, sales, scientific computing, and video production. Right, okay.
Yeah, that's standard.
That's standard, right? So obviously pilots don't necessarily, or not cabin crew, anyone, don't necessarily fit into any of those things. But look at the soft skills that they're looking for. Top 5 soft skills. Number 1, creativity. Number 2, persuasion. 3, collaboration. 4, adaptability, and 5, emotional intelligence. Now tell me a pilot doesn't have those top 5 soft skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all of those things that become applicable in the flight deck. So,
Right, so in your old-fashioned resume, what you would do is you would highlight your hard skills, all right, that you got an ATPL and X amount of hours on this aircraft and that aircraft. But now, in this sort of post-COVID new age world, it's your soft skills that we can actually promote. And that's where a social platform like LinkedIn is so important. You can start pushing those soft skills or showing that you've got certain of those soft skills. And there are employers out there that are looking for those things. I had a conversation yesterday. A guy from Cape Town called me, Jeremy Thompson. Got a company, Atlantic Seaboard Realty. They're actually supporting today's show. They're sponsoring today's show. He phoned me. He said, listen, they got some job opportunities inside their business, and he wants to employ some pilots. I said, oh, great. Why do you want to do that? He said, because they've got the right makeup. They've got the right skills. They've got the right things that they're looking for. Does he know of anyone? So I said, well, I do know of a few people, but I've got a podcast going tomorrow, and I'm going to push that out on the podcast.
Yeah.
I said, listen, are you happy with it? He said, please, go ahead and do it. So I'm going to leave all his details in the show notes as well. Contact Jeremy, listen to what he has to say, see what they're looking for, and I hope this is the start of other companies saying, hey, pilots, cabin crew, they've got the skills we're looking for. They might not have the degree or the hard skills we're looking for, but if they've got the soft skills, then that's all that's required. So hopefully this is a start to something quite cool, and we're actually going to start going out there and seeing, hey, consider employing a pilot, and come through us, guys. We're going to try and find you guys some jobs.
And just to add to that as well, I mean, a message to my aviation colleagues out there as well. Don't be afraid to take on the challenge of changing lanes now. Obviously with going out there, having to look for different work in different sectors, you're still battling with that loss of identity of being a pilot. I was thinking about this morning on the way here, remembering the days when you were driving to work to go fly, on the way to work on the highway, and you're starting to sort of fly that airplane already, checking the weather, going through NOTAMs, all that pre-stuff. And then you go and you fly, you have a good day, and on the way home, you're sort of analysing that flight that you've just done.
Whilst listening to AC/DC.
Oh yeah, I mean, that just makes you feel a lot better. But I mean, that's what's going to also carry you through into your next phase of whatever you decide to do. It's that same mindset of whatever you do, you're going to go give it your best, you're going to be prepared. It's just taking action on those transferable skills into a different section, and it's no different.
Anybody who understands a pilot or cabin crew, when you're running a business, you want someone who can take the lead when something happens, gonna improvise, fix it, find a workaround that problem, and has authority, leadership. I mean, and don't pilots, cabin crew have that? When you get on a plane, if you hear your captain come through, doesn't know what he's doing, and he sounds unconfident, all you want to do is get off that plane. And when a hostie comes down the aisle, and you can see she knows what she's doing, you feel relaxed. So why wouldn't you want that in your business? I don't get it.
Yeah, and I think what we can also push out there is to say, Martin Stork, who we've had on the show as well before, he says, be the pilot in command. So be in command of your own journey. You got to know where you're going first, but make command decisions. What's the right decision? What's the right thing for the time? Well, there's a few things now that you're going to have to do that are a little bit out of your comfort zone, different to what you've done before. But now's not the time to question that. Now's the time to make a command decision and actually get on with your life, because this industry is not going to turn around overnight. It is going to turn around. But you might surprise yourself and find you've got a hell of a lot more skills than you give yourself credit for. So definitely encouraging the guys to go out there, and LinkedIn, Brett, is the best place to actually figure out what your transferable skills actually are, because it actually tells you. Yeah. You actually start to see, well, actually people kind of like when I talk about this, so maybe I'm quite good at it.
Yeah, this is the professional environment. The only place is LinkedIn. Facebook, all of those things, great for social. You don't need to bother. From a business perspective, you're looking for something. If you have not got your LinkedIn profile sharp, and you adding content to it, as Arpad said in his midweek in your interview, it's great to have the profile. If you're not putting content out there, you're not sharing things, you're not adding value and engaging, you're gonna fade into the 18 million other LinkedIn profiles. It's not that difficult though.
And again, don't get overwhelmed by thinking that you're in this alone.
No.
You know, don't be afraid to reach out, call your mates. You know, I had a friend of mine, or ex-colleague of mine, phone me yesterday and said to me, you know, listen, you know, what's news? What's your feeling? What's your opinion on this and everything? And you know, it was a half an hour conversation, but I could also sense that afterwards he felt a lot better. In fact, he's coming here next week to get assistance with LinkedIn as well, Andreas. But just that 30-minute conversation actually made us both feel better about, hey, we know where we are. We're still trying to figure out where we're going, but the mere fact that you've reached out, spoken to someone, and gotten something off your chest helps you through the day.
Well, he made a command decision. He picked up the phone and phoned his mate.
Exactly.
Which is what it's all about. Okay, there's been a bit of sort of negative news around the world from an aviation perspective. The UK, the same. There's still issues with the quarantine there. There's been almost a second wave now, Brett, of quarantines and not looking so good. But then you read other news in the UK. Amazon, they've announced they want to set up, they're going to have positions for 7,000 jobs in the UK through their Amazon warehouses. They've already employed 3,000 people permanently this year. So in this new world, okay, a lot of jobs might have closed down or have closed down, but other jobs are opening up at the same time. Again, if you're not out there looking to see where those are, you're not going to get those jobs. So you got to actually put yourself out there. Can we come a little bit closer to home again? I want to talk about SAA quickly because it's been in the news. Yeah, what do you say? There was an article in the Sunday Times. What concerned me there was actually someone that propped up and said, yeah, maybe our borders are going to remain closed up until such time the new SAA is up and running, so they don't lose any market share there. I hope that's not true.
I really hope so.
I really hope that's not true, because that would be just devastating for the entire country.
I got a question on that. But do the borders opening have any effect on SAA? Because what is SAA going to be from here? Is it going to be a domestic airline, a regional airline, or an international airline?
Who's going to fly with them? Safir and Link own the market.
I won't jump onto an SAA flight.
No,
Never again.
Nor will I.
Not that I have for years, but still.
They look anyway. You know, not to go into the negative side of it, but they've got to work with the other airlines in the country. Link and Safir have done such a fantastic job up till now, and they're going to continue doing it. There have been some hints possibly that they might start doing regionals, and maybe that's where the threat to SAA comes in. If Safir starts doing regional flying, then obviously it takes away the option for SAA to do it. But I think it's going to be more of a hub type airline. It's going to obviously try and possibly fly to Addis, where you can pick up your long haul to Europe. I don't see SAA doing domestic or long haul. I just see it being a connecting hub to Addis, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, because I read in the news that Ethiopian are again in talks with them. So I don't know. Let's see. The story's out there now, and probably change again next week.
Yeah. Well, DPE said that they want to see the following characteristics in the new airline: an efficient and modern aircraft fleet. Okay, well, they had that before. Hybrid density options acquired at competitive rates, resulting in cost efficiency. All right, that's the case for any airline. And offering with the right routes at the right times and at competitive prices. Well, as far as I'm concerned, they had a free range of what they wanted to do anyway in the first place. A network structure that allows for connectivity at hubs whilst maintaining elevated aircraft utilization. That just means flying to the hub and back. Connecting Africa to world economic hubs whilst maintaining diplomatic connectivity. A right size and motivated workforce. A customer-centric airline designed to be lean, technologically savvy, digitally native and agile to service all market segments. Well,
What
what
the hell is digitally native?
I don't know. I copied and pasted that. So, but yeah, look, it's a whole lot of nice things to say, and we've always said we want a good SAA.
Yeah.
I like to see the SAA flag at Frankfurt when I'm walking through the terminal. It makes you feel like a bit closer to home.
Mm.
But they got to get it right, and this is the last chance.
Yeah, well, we're just gonna have to see what happens. I mean, it's.
I don't hold up much faith, to be honest, but
I mean, either. But
that's just my
at the end of
humble
the day,
opinion.
yeah, what bugs me is the story of them holding back the borders because of their own agenda.
Look,
cannot happen.
that's
It's
not
gonna be
what they.
detrimental.
That's not what they said. This is just.
Speculation.
Yeah, I know,
There's a
it's
bit of
rumour.
speculation,
Yeah.
rumor. They're saying maybe, but I don't think so. I think these borders are going to open relatively soon.
I hope so. I really do.
I think Africa as a whole going into spring, summer, our numbers I think are going to sharply reduce. Europe, you're going to have it. They're starting to get cold already. They're starting to freeze.
Well,
So, you have to expect that that's going to happen in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah. Another big carrier to talk about, Emirates. They got quite a big bailout, $2 billion.
Mm.
So they're carrying on. I see every week they're adding on new routes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, they like started slowly but surely continuing to expand. Makes you wonder, like, are they going to reach a point soon that they realize that they shouldn't have let go of all the crew?
Yeah, that's what they keep adding stuff on.
Yeah.
At what point are they back to normal capacity? And then are they going to take those guys all back, or do those guys that got let go, are they going to want to go back? Time will tell.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I think most people realize that there is you can't rely on your company to give you loyalty. When Emirates is down, get rid of everyone. They know, and Emirates unfortunately knows this, that when things pick up and they suddenly put ads, everyone's going to come running back. Because at the end of the day, it's a job. You hope people want something more from a business nowadays, but when you're desperate, you take what you can get. So they have no issue with that. They're not gonna lose sleep over it, put it that way.
No, they're not. And they're going to be critical in South Africa. There's no long-haul carrier here right now.
Yeah.
So very easy to jump on an Emirates flight and head off wherever you want via Dubai. So quite critical for us going forward. Yeah, time will tell. Locally, again, just to mention Link again, they operating to Hoedspruit now, right? I see they're advertising quite a lot of that at a very reasonable rate. It was 1,710 Rand I saw one way, and that's including your 20 kilo checked in baggage. So Hoedspruit opening up.
Yeah, look, I mean, Hoedspruit's it's a great route, but I know it's more popular when the borders are open because everybody flies in from overseas and then they're going straight out to Kruger Park. So, yeah, I can't imagine that those flights are all that full right now. But, yeah, certainly if they're operating that and the borders are open, hell of a popular route.
And it's a route that can also be operated by the charter companies.
Yes.
And the charter companies rely heavily on overseas travellers. So Link's biggest competition, look, they don't have any SA Express competition on that route. I'm not sure if Seme will start flying there again. I think they were doing the Cape Town Hoedspruit prior to the COVID. We'll see. So they've got that route pretty much to themselves, but their competition is the charter companies.
Yeah, guys, I think everybody just needs to realize that making progress is more productive than pursuing perfection. Just always remember that.
Did you see that on my You're a sniper. Yes. I knew it was coming.
For those of you not watching it on YouTube and watching or listening to the podcast side of it, Ryan's got some very nicely laid out notes there in front of him, and the business guy has just stolen Ryan's final quote.
That's fine. I've got your digits.
Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, go check your tires.
Yeah, guys. Just one more thing with the socials. So talking LinkedIn specifically, that is your groundwork for connecting, coming up with new ideas, seeing what's out there, seeing if there's new opportunities out there. Those of you guys looking to start your own brands and your own companies, whatever it is, obviously the foundation to that, Brett, in this technological world is a website. One of our sponsors on the show, Jared LaRue Web Design, co-sponsoring today's show. I'll leave the details in the show notes. If you're looking for a website, give him a shout. You don't have to buy anything. Just chat to him, see what it's all about, try and get an understanding of the whole thing. This is a whole new world. Aviation, you can ask us anything. We tend to have an understanding of 99% of this of that world. But going into something else, you need to talk to people to gain the knowledge, gain the understanding. And the best way to do it is just contact the guys that actually know what they're doing. They do it for a living. So contact Jared. He said, no, please make it available to our listeners. So details in the show notes there. And yeah, guys, 33 minutes already.
Wow.
Well, we've only got 4.5 hours to go to compete with Rogan's.
No, I'm not competing
Marathon.
with Rogan. I'm not. I mean, I would love to be competing with Rogan. I'd love to have Rogan's studio.
Oh yeah.
Oh, his new one.
His new one in
it's
Texas.
Killer.
Yeah.
Just killer.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We'll get there.
I kind of wouldn't mind actually moving to Texas and having a studio. That place looks quite cool. Anyway, it's always such a blast doing this. It's the favorite time of our week for sure. And we'll be here again next Friday, every Friday for the Friday show.
Cheers, guys and girls, and yeah, have a good weekend.
Do you want to end off with a quote there, Ryan?
I can't. In future, I'm going to have a few more lined up.
I'll end off with one. Naval Ravikant. Earn with your mind, not with your time. Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Ciao.
guys.
Well, that's all for this week, folks. Thanks for listening and for your continued support. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already and pass the show on to your friends, your families, and your colleagues. If you'd like to get in touch with us, my email address is in the show details. Stay positive, keep the passion alive, and we'll see you next week. Cheers for now.